Hello bookworms! Today I'm here to do an extremely highly requested video by you guys. A lot of you have been asking on a lot of my recent videos about any kind of tips that I might have for BEA, or BookExpo rather, and BookCon. I know that this is something that a lot of people look for, especially if it is your first time going, and as someone who has been going since 2012, like, yeah, that's how long I've been going. And also on top of that, I've just been to like at least 20 other conventions all across the United States. But being a New Yorker, the Javits Center and BEA and BookCon are two of the events that I am like the most familiar with, and I feel like I 100% have like down pat at this point. So I'm really excited to share these tips with you. Thank you guys so much for requesting this video because I had really wanted to do this anyway, and now you just kind of gave me an excuse since I know that you want to watch it, so thank you. And this video is actually a paid promotion with Disney Book Group in order to celebrate the release of Shipit by Britta London. I am so excited to read this book. Britta London is actually one of the writers of the TV show Riverdale, which you guys know I talk about all the time. So I'm pretty excited to read this one just based on how much I love Riverdale. But on top of that, this book takes place at a convention, which is also why it's like the perfect tie-in for this BEA and BookCon video. If you take the cover off, just look at this. This is literally exactly what it looks like to be on a convention floor, especially during a comic convention, like everyone in costumes. As soon as I took this off, I was just like, oh my god, this makes me feel like I'm at a con. I love it. Shipit has also been said to have the trademark charm of Fangirl and Geekerella, both of which I count as two of my favorite books, favorite contemporary books ever, and especially because of that fandom element. So that has gotten me really excited to read this one. And when I was looking at it on Goodreads, it has almost a 5-star average rating, which is like pretty awesome. So I have some pretty high expectations for this one, and I'm really looking forward to getting to it. And it actually sounds really cool because it kind of goes like behind the scenes of this TV show that has an insane cult following, and you get to see like the inside scoop of everything that is going wrong and all of just the, like the last minute changes and tweaks that they have to make in order to make this convention work for them. And if you have ever shipped two characters, I think that you will definitely be able to relate to Claire, who is the main character. She goes to this convention in order to see the panel for her favorite show, which is called Demon Heart. While she is there, she actually has the opportunity to ask a question of Forrest, who plays the main character on the show. She asks him a question about whether the main character that he plays could be gay, and Forrest totally laughs it off, and then Claire is devastated, and it just turns into an insane PR nightmare for this television show, and then they have to try to right that huge wrong that the lead actor made during this Q&A session. Claire actually writes fan fiction based on this show, and in it, the main character is gay, so that is also partially why she is so devastated, and she just can't believe that this guy who was basically her hero turned out to be such a close-minded jerk. And then in an effort to make things right, the company who produces the show actually ends up hiring Claire on to join the cast for the rest of the publicity tour in order to right the wrong that they made with the LGBT community. And supposedly there's also a very cute fan artist who Claire is contemplating hitting on in real life. I think I already said it, but Shipit is actually already out in stores. It came out on May 1st, so you can go and pick up a copy at any local store. I know I am going to be reading it soon, so let me know if you guys pick it up and if you read it and love it, which I feel like a lot of us will. Okay, so now for the tips and tricks for BookExpo / BookCon. I decided to go with a total of 11 of the tips that I feel like are the most important, and I divided them into sections. So there are a couple of tips I have for pre-con prep, a couple of tips for while you're at the convention, and then a couple of post-con tips. So here we go. So my first and most important tip is to have a plan. I am somebody that needs to have everything organized. Like, I am extremely type A when it comes to these kinds of things, and my group of friends, what we do before BookExpo is we create a Google sheet that has everything listed out that is going on that we want to get, whether it's like a galley drop, whether it's a panel, whether there's going to be an author signing somewhere. We list everything out by half hour and put it into this Google sheet that we can all share with each other. That way we all have the opportunity to edit it. We can highlight things that we feel like are high priority and see if our events overlap with our friends' events, and then we can also figure out if we need to like separate at any point. Sometimes there will be multiple times where a book is being dropped, so what we usually do is put both of them into our schedule, and then if we're able to get it the first time, then we can cross it off on the other time that it's there and fill that with another event. In the days leading up to the convention, we like obsessively check all of the Twitter accounts and Tumblr pages and websites and Instagram stories of all of like the big publishers, because that's really where you find out exactly what's going on. And sometimes authors too, if there's a book that's coming out in either the fall or winter, you might want to pay close attention to that author's social media, because sometimes they'll post things that the publishers don't post. So after we have this finalized schedule, what we do is each of us print out a hard copy of the spreadsheet, because you don't want to be like draining your phone battery trying to look at your spreadsheet constantly. I bring that printout and a pen along with me, and then I check off things as we get them or cross them off as we can cross them off. And then also that first day, this is the only thing that kind of overlaps with actually being at the con, but the first day when you're there, one of the first things that my friends do is we go to every big publisher booth and we grab the flyer that they have for their schedule of events. So that way if we happen to miss anything, or if there's anything that was added at the last minute, we can grab it from that flyer and add it into our schedule and rearrange as needed. And sometimes we'll even use that to update the spreadsheet and then print out a new spreadsheet for the next day, just so that it's more organized, because we're crazy like that. So on the spreadsheet, in addition to the time that an event is happening, we also include what the event is, what the book is, what the author is, and exactly where that is going to be happening, because you don't want to have to be consulting a map to try to get there. You want everything handy in one spot for you. As you might be able to tell from that, it tends to be pretty chaotic and timelines are very tight. So that brings me to tip number 2, which is to pack snacks. Sometimes there is just not enough time during the convention to set aside for a full meal, especially with my friends, because we are serious when it comes to getting our ARCs. The only stop that we usually make is a pre-con Starbucks run. What we do is we get to the convention center. There's a Starbucks that's in the front of the convention center, so one of us waits on the line to enter the show floor and the other one goes to Starbucks and gets Starbucks for ourselves and our friend on the line. And then the next day we'll switch, like whoever got Starbucks the first day will sit on the line to the expo hall and the other person will go to Starbucks the next day and pick it up. I personally always start my day with a Trinta unsweetened green iced tea and a croissant. I need caffeine like you wouldn't believe. I am a complete tea addict and I look forward to that giant cup of tea every day. And then my favorite snacks that I pack to bring with me are those like Ritz peanut butter crackers, because it gives me the illusion of potentially getting some type of protein, even though I'm sure that those are just more unhealthy than healthy. Teddy Grahams, just because they're delicious and small and they come in the little individual bags, so they're easy to pack. And then some type of granola bar with chocolate chips in it, because that feels the most meal-like to me. Now, this might not sound like a ton of food, and you would be absolutely correct about that, but I do pack multiple of each item, so I have like a lot of it to keep me going throughout the day. Usually I go into BookExpo and BookCon knowing like this isn't going to be a day where I sit down and have meals. This is going to be a day where I refuel when I have a couple of seconds, just to make sure that I will make it until the end of the day. Number 3 is to carry a large purse or a backpack with you. I always try to use some type of oversized tote bag or some type of backpack. Sometimes a backpack can be a little bit better, just because then the weight is evenly distributed on your shoulders, because you're going to be getting a ton of books, more books than you like could possibly imagine. Every year I go, I'm like, I'm not gonna get that many books this time, and then I end up with like 50 books and I'm like, how did this happen? A lot of times publishers will also hand out tote bags if you visit their booths at different times during the day, so sometimes that's also a good way to just pick up another tote bag, even though I think we all have like a million tote bags at this point, but it just maximizes your space for book hoarding in case you're running out of room in the bag that you have with you. Tip number 4, which is a big one for me, is to dress in layers, because I am someone that is always cold pretty much. There are different areas within the convention center. Some areas, like if you go into panel rooms, those tend to be like really cold, but then if you're in a really crowded area with a lot of people waiting for like a galley drop, sometimes it can be really hot. So I usually like to wear some type of like cardigan, that way I can take it off if I'm warm, or I can put it on if I'm cold. It just makes the day more comfortable for you. And then also I'm usually drinking an iced tea, so I tend to be colder on that front too. That has always been a big thing for me, and it's very easy to get sick from attending conventions because you're just in this one enclosed area with like thousands of people being exposed to tons of germs. So that's why I also like to make sure that I'm like keeping warm and not running down my body any more than I need to on limited meals and limited sitting time and excessive labor from carrying books. And you know what? I feel like I'm making this sound not fun, but I'm really just trying to prepare you. It's a blast and your adrenaline levels will be through the roof, so you will be able to like get through the day no problem. It's just that it's good to be prepared. So now moving on to my tips while you're at the con. So number 5 is bathroom breaks, which might sound extremely silly, but things move really quickly when you're at the con. You do not want to be left behind, and the best system for bathroom breaks that me and my friends have come up with is if we're lining up early to get a book, we will go secure our place on that line, sit down as soon as you can. Once you get on a line, if you know that a line isn't going to be moving for a while, it's great to sit and also just to put your bag down to give your body some relief. But during that time, then we'll also do that same like thing in the morning where we rotate. So we'll sit down, one of us will run to the bathroom, one of us will hold the place in line, and then we'll swap places. And if you're not with anyone, a line can be a great place to make a friend because you both already are waiting for the same book, so you have that interest in common. So it's pretty easy to strike up a conversation. And then you can also potentially do the whole line holding bathroom swap thing with them. Number 6 is phone charger. So I cannot recommend enough having a Mophie case, which is or just any kind of battery case for your phone. I use the Mophie one, but it gives your phone an extra full charge because there's really, like, as you have heard, there's not much time to eat, there's not much time to go to the bathroom, so you can bet that charging your phone is not something that's really gonna happen. And also your phone battery tends to go a lot more quickly because there's so many people that are all trying to draw from the same Wi-Fi and the same service, and it just gets really congested. So your phone battery tends to drain a lot quicker than it would normally, but then if you have a Mophie case, you can charge it while you're on the go and you'll get like an extra full charge, so it's as if you have a double battery for the day. So that was always like the number one thing that I always had with me every convention, and it's been a godsend. Number 7 is only take what you plan on reading. This I know can be very challenging because there's shiny arcs everywhere and you're just like, give me all the books. But I personally have been trying to get pickier and pickier each year that I've been attending for a multitude of reasons. The first one being just carrying everything gets very, very heavy. It's not easy. Also, like, it's good to have in your mind that while yes, this is really fun because there's access to all of these books, you do have the opportunity to get them once they come out. So if it's not something that you feel like you're going to read right away, it might not be worth carrying it. Another thing that my friends and I have done is if there's a book that one of us is like kind of interested in and another one is very interested in, the one who's very interested in will pick it up, and then if they enjoy it, they'll lend it to the other person, which is good if you have like local friends or if you're open to mailing out books to swap with one another. And then that also just saves you the hassle of trying to hold as much as you possibly can. And secondly, and most importantly really, is that publishers spend so much money producing the books that they are giving out for review at this event. And that is the whole thing. They are for review. They put so much money into the marketing dollars for those books. And it's really unfair to both the publisher and more so even to the author to take something if you don't have the intention of reading it and promoting it or, you know, giving your honest opinion on it, because then those are dollars that could have been spent going towards someone else who would do that and would add to the publicity of their upcoming novel. Number 8 is to walk the entire convention floor. As I mentioned before, we always stop at the big publishers first to get those flyers, but it is really good to just walk the entire floor too, because you never know if there's some little booth that you may have missed and there might be something new and exciting to discover there that you didn't even know that you were looking for. So I definitely recommend going through the entire floor. Do not miss anything. You're there, so you may as well take advantage of seeing the whole thing. Number 9 is have fun. That's an easy one, and that kind of goes with the territory. Like, the whole point of this is to have fun. There is absolutely no reason to get into fights with people over books. You're all there for your enjoyment of reading and your enjoyment of going and seeing friends and meeting new people. It's not a place to fight with people over books that are coming out. It's really inappropriate. It doesn't make any sense because, like I said, the books are going to come out later, so you can always get it later. There was one BEA where I was literally pushed into a table because somebody was trying to get ahead of me to get an arc of Heartless, and I was just like, whoa. you need to relax. And now I'm gonna give you my last two post-con tips. So tip number 10, as I mentioned before, I have a strong affinity for spreadsheets. So one of the first things that I do when I get home, well, first of all, I film my book haul because I am just on such a high of getting everything that I want to talk about them and like be really excited at the time when I'm explaining everything to you guys. So I always try to make that a priority. And then once I finish doing that, I have a spreadsheet, shocking, on my computer of all of the arcs that I currently have along with the date that they are released. That's how they're sorted. So that way I can try to plan my TBR for the future. I see how many arcs I have that I know that I need to read before the release date. And then I also have a color coding system for once I am currently reading them, once I've read them, and once I've reviewed them, and then I'm able to remove them from my spreadsheet. But it's just a really good way to track what you have in case you have books behind other things and they're not necessarily right in front of your site. You can still know like, okay, these are ones that I need to get to. And then number 11 is to spend a night relaxing like you wouldn't believe. There is nothing more satisfying than getting home from a marathon of convention days, taking the longest, hottest shower of all time, maybe making one of your favorite meals or ordering from one of your favorite places because it's really gonna be one of the first times that you're having like an actual meal and it's just gonna feel so good. A lot of times I will have salad when I get home because I'm like, I just ate so unhealthy for days and I just need like lettuce to cleanse my body. And then I usually light my favorite candle, set up shop in my favorite reading place, and I start my most anticipated arc that I just got at the convention, and it's just so satisfying and so relaxing and it's so good for your soul. So those are all of my tips and tricks for BookExpo and BookCon. Let me know if you're planning on going to BookExpo or BookCon. I really look forward to meeting some of you guys. Last year so many of you came up to me and said hello, and it was just so nice to be able to put faces to some of the names that I talk to in the comments all the time, and also just to meet other book lovers. Like, it was so great and it was so fun for me, and I really hope to meet more of you again this year. And also thank you very much to Disney Book Group for sponsoring this video in honor of Shipit. Again, this book is currently in stores, so I highly recommend going out and picking up a copy. I know I'm gonna read it really soon. It actually kind of sounds like the perfect book to read before BEA and BookCon, just to kind of like get into con mode. So that is all that I have for this video, and I will see you guys soon in a new one. Bye!